Hello everyone, I'm Esther Vida and welcome to Hometown Talents and Treasures. We're at the Andover High School Sustainable Garden. This is where students plant, maintain, and harvest fruits, vegetables, and herbs for the community. We'll talk to some of the people responsible for this project. Joining me is Melanie Cutler, a biology teacher here at Andover High School, one of the people responsible for this project. Melanie, how did this get started?
So it was about 5 years ago when we started the planning stages. I was teaching environmental science classes at the time, and the students learned about sustainable agriculture and all the different issues with growing food in the course, and I wanted them to have a kind of a learning lab where they could apply the skills they were learning in the classroom to the real world experience.
And so a sustainable garden in the middle of Andover High School, yeah. Right? And so how many kids are involved in this?
In the past it was as much as 500 a year, and then when the environmental science classes got cut this past year, it's been about 50 to 100 students in different classes working on the garden. Yeah.
What do you hope students get out of this?
So a few things. One, it's really nice that they can see where actual food comes from and be able to recognize plants and to say, wow, that's what broccoli looks like when it's growing. And two, to see what's involved in kind of planning and planting and raising food and how easy it can be, once you know what you're doing. And three, all the benefits of growing food locally, and even within our small high school community, we're able to raise some food here, and then it's used in the cafeteria for school lunches. So the kids get a reward from being able to actually eat what they've been growing, which is nice.
And this year you've also donated to Neighbors in Need, which is a nonprofit in Lawrence.
Yes, so we're happy to be able to take any excess produce that's not used in the cafeteria or over the summer when school's not in session. We've been able to donate the produce to Neighbors in Need, which is great.
Why is a project like this especially important in today's world?
I think in today's world, kids don't have enough connection with the foods they eat. We all eat food every day, but to be able to get your hands really dirty and grow it and see the process that's involved and when things are ripe and when the seasons are due, we've just kind of lost touch with that piece of our society, especially in New England, where agriculture was so important to our culture kind of over the years. That connection seems to have been lost, so it's been nice to get kids back into it that way.
Melanie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Michelle Maldari and Ann Knowles with the Andover High School Sustainable Garden. Ladies, this is absolutely incredible. We're in the middle of Andover High School, and there's a beautiful garden full of fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Talk about how this project started, Michelle.
Well, the project started with Melanie Cutler, who is our biology, environmental science teacher here, and she was in conjunction with another organization, got the garden going to supply a hands-on experience for students, for them to kind of tie in with what they were learning in class, because it makes such a big difference, I think, when you have something you can actually put your hands on and learn about directly and tie it into your studies.
And Ann, we've got tomatoes, we've got squash, we've got zucchini, all types of vegetables. How do you come up with the fruits and vegetables and herbs that you plant?
We have decided beforehand, usually in a planning phase at the beginning of the year, we decide which fruit and vegetables are going to go in, primarily because we're feeding the school cafeteria and we have to feed them things that they want to have, that students want to eat. And we also need to choose things that are easier to grow. So those are the kinds of decision making.
And so this project is not only during school time, but there's a summer component to it. Talk about how students can get involved in that summer component.
Okay, so we have an application for students. Usually they learn about it through their science class, and also we just email all the students who have done it in the past and say, here's your application, the summer's coming up, we'll hope you join us again, and they bring their friends and they make an application, but it's more about them thinking about consciously why they want to be part of that. And so it's really, they come in and keep the garden going all summer. So, and they harvest it. And this summer in particular, we weren't able to sell at the farmer's market, but we donated anything that was harvested to Neighbors in Need this year. So the kids were really happy to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about the food politics of this, because a lot of the food that we eat today travels hundreds of miles. Why is it so important? What are the benefits, really, of having something that is locally grown?
Well, first of all, with food in particular, you're talking about nutrient levels that will just diminish the further you go from where they're sourced. And so to have something right in your backyard that's harvested that day and brought down to your cafeteria and presented on the salad bar today or tomorrow from when it was picked is just amazing that these students have that opportunity, because within a week you've lost nutrient levels in vegetables and fruits. So.
Not to mention the gas price, right? The fuel that it costs
To transport.
to transport. What else, Ann?
I think the other thing too is that many vegetables are picked not so fresh, not so ripe, excuse me. So if you're picking in California, you're picking something that is maybe a green tomato, and it's sort of gassed when it gets to Massachusetts to redden up the colors. But that is why the nutrients aren't so well. You haven't actually moved to the point where the vegetable is ripe before it's served.
Now, besides Andover High School and the Andover Garden Club, who else has supported you in maintaining this project?
Okay, so we've had a lot of initial funding from the ACE organization here in town, Andona, Whole Foods, and this summer in particular, the Andover Garden Club sponsored us entirely and allowed us to do a lot of work that we wouldn't have been able to do because we weren't able to sell our produce at the farmer's market this summer. So that was great income and allowed us to build a lot of raised beds and buy our seed and whatever we needed to do, replace some tools this summer.
As you go through a project like this, it's sort of a new type of thing. What are some of the challenges that you've learned, that you've overcome, that perhaps another community that wants to start something like this can learn from you guys?
Well, I think one of the things that I've found is that there's more out there on the web than you would expect as far as educational materials, and so other groups can go to the web. Mass agriculture in the classroom is one. And there are other groups that provide information about education and gardens that I think are great resources.
But specifically, Anne, you mentioned that you were having some kind of problem with the tomato plants.
Yes, and I have a student with me who is researching that problem. So she's looking into, it's actually not tomato but potato blade, and she's looking into that using resources through her science classes and through the web to research and solve the problem for us. I mean, and this is a problem for a lot of other gardeners. Believe me, it's all through Andover right now. And so, I mean, anyone looks to have solutions like that.
What do you hope students get out of this, besides the growing locally, eating healthy? What other components do you hope that they get out of a project like this?
In general, I think just working with your hands is a really important skill that a lot of students just don't get today. A lot of kids just don't grow up even working outdoors, working with tools. Everything's done kind of in a simulated sort of way. So I love that about it. And the other thing is the tie-in to more specific information that's in their textbooks. So,
And making that connection.
right.
Yeah.
Michelle, you were telling us earlier about the cross-pollination. Talk a little bit about what types of cool projects that you guys are doing.
Okay, so what we try to do here is one of the sustainability processes that we use is intercropping. So we have the kids assigned a particular vegetable that will be their main crop in their garden bed, and they're supposed to pick another vegetable, an herb, and at least one flower that they're going to all interplant together in the same bed. So instead of having just rows and rows and rows of the same crop, you've got lots of different crops growing in the same garden bed. And what it does is it confuses the pests, so they can't find that tomato or that bean that is their particular favorite dish. And you've got flowers that are confusing them because of the smells. You've got flowers also that are attracting beneficial insects that will pollinate the rest of the crops because they've just drawn to the flowers and likewise to the smaller flowers that are on the vegetable crops. So in this way, I think the students are learning, oh, this is a more sustainable way of growing things. You don't need to use so many pesticides. You don't need to use so many herbicides that will kill weeds because you've got the whole bed covered.
Very cool. Joining me now is Erica Mazzarelli, a student here at Andover High School, and you're taking part in this project. What have you learned?
Well, I've learned mainly how to be sustainable and how to grow crops and harvest them because we harvest them in the farmers market, which is downtown. So that's mainly what I've learned.
And why did you get involved with something like this?
I thought it'd be interesting to learn how to grow crops and to water them and harvest them and fertilize them. It was really interesting when we were doing it, and so.
Do you eat these fruits and vegetables as well?
Yeah, we do.
What is it like to grow your own stuff and then eat it?
Well, it's interesting, I think you learn to appreciate the foods more when you grow them because you learn what the process is into growing them and harvesting them, and so you learn to appreciate them more.
And you want to talk about the apple tree because
Yeah.
it's having some problems.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Still is, sort of. So over the summer, a couple of students noticed that the leaves on the apple tree were turning a brownish yellow color. So they did some research and they found that it was a fungus that was caused by juniper, which was growing right next to it. And so they ended up uprooting all of it, which over here you can see it's all uprooted. And there's a little bit of it left over there, the green plant. And so now the apple tree is getting better.
How are you able to connect what you learn in school and through research into hands-on stuff?
Well, in freshman year we took environmental class, so I think a lot of that was helpful in learning how to harvest plants and stuff.
What do you say to people who are like, oh, gardening, it's dirty work, it's boring?
Well, it's really not that boring. It's fun, You get to pick the vegetables and stuff, especially eating them at the end. It's fun because after growing this for so long, you finally get to appreciate it and stuff. I think it's fun. I think people who don't like it, they can learn to appreciate it once they do it.
What's the funnest part about doing this besides being outdoors and so forth?
Well, I like harvesting them, picking them once they're finally done. The raspberries over there.
So this is more of a commitment outside of a school. You guys are also here on Saturdays. Why do you keep doing it?
Well, I like to do it. I mean, it's fun. And on Saturdays over the summer, we came in and we would come in the garden and pick all the vegetables or the produce that were harvested and ready to be eaten that day. And so we would bring them down to the cafeteria in the school, and we would wash them and let them air dry because we didn't want to use too many paper towels because we were trying to be sustainable. And
wow, so you're watching every step.
yeah, we are. And the water too, we have to watch that. And then we also package them in reusable containers because I think mainly the teachers and the students brought those in. And then we brought them down to the side of the school where we put the packages in bins, and we brought the bins down to the downtown, and then we sold them in the Andover market.
Erica, awesome. Any final words? Any message you want to give to students who may be skeptical about this?
Just try it, you'll like it.
All right, Erica, thank you so much.
Thank you.
What is that?
That's asparagus.
Asparagus.
Yeah, take a look at the very base of it here. Right down, see that? Right over there on the stalk. You can tell that if you look at the stalk over there, you can tell that it is asparagus. And this is what asparagus looks like. We harvest it normally when it shoots right out of the ground, so you're getting it, 8 inches off of the ground, and it's all furled up. But this is what asparagus looks like when it grows into a fully grown plant. It's just all unfurled and a completely different looking thing.
One of the things I think they learn to appreciate is that it takes time to harvest, and a lot of times, we hire migrant workers to do that job because it's tedious. When you talk about sustainability and growing locally.
So you guys volunteered your time to do this. Why did you get involved with something like this, Michelle?
Well, my son was in Mrs. Cutler's class when he was a freshman here at the high school, and she posted a notice looking for gardeners to start the garden with her because she wasn't a gardener, but she saw the need for connecting a garden with what she was teaching in the classroom, and I thought that was the greatest thing. So she and I had a conversation one night, and that's how I got involved, and I just loved it from the start with just getting, you get 20 minutes, you get 25 kids, and you got to figure out how to keep them all busy getting this place ready for growing things, and it was so exciting.
What do you get out of it?
I see the kids just, the ecstasy on their faces when they dig a hole for the first time with a shovel because they've never used a shovel, and it's amazing to me, and it just gets me right here where I live because it's like, this is what I love to do, So. Yeah. That's basically it.
I love your enthusiasm over this. This is awesome. And why do you do this?
Well, it was a similar kind of thing. I also saw the ad that Melanie Cutler had posted, and Michelle was on board already, and I just joined her and had similar sorts. My son was also in the school. I had similar sorts of experiences. The students are really what makes this so fabulous. I mean, they're excited about what they learn, they're excited about what they do, and they love getting outside, particularly during the school day. And so it's just like a big break for them, and so we get a whole bunch of excited kids all at one time, and that's great.
Anne and Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thanks
Yes.
for being here and showing off our space that we love to be at.
Yes, thank you.
That's our show for today. If you know of someone or even an organization you think should be profiled on Hometown Talents and Treasures, email me at esternvoida@gmail.com. Remember, it can be anyone. The important thing is that they selflessly donate their talent and time to help others. See you next time.